and it is 6:35, and this is the Acushnet Planning Board. This meeting is being recorded for the Acushnet channel on YouTube, also live on Zoom. If everyone could put their phones on silent, and the people on Zoom, please stay muted until you put your hand up and you are called to speak. If you're called to speak, please introduce yourselves with your name and your address. Can I get a motion to open the meeting?
I'll make a motion to open the meeting.
Can I get a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, point of order, you gotta do a roll call vote because I'm on Zoom.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
Yes. I'm a yes.
You're a yes. I'm a yes.
I'm a yes.
Okay, unanimous. If everyone can introduce themselves, starting with Doug.
Hi, Doug Pimentel, Town Planner.
Steve Boucher, member.
Mark Francois, Chairman.
Dave DeVicton, member.
And we are short a couple of members. They might arrive. We'll see. This is a special meeting. It's the second of two public hearings. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Roll call vote.
I'm a yes.
I'm a yes.
Yes.
Unanimous. This public hearing is for large-scale photovoltaic bylaw. The purpose of this bylaw is to permit the creation of new commercial solar photovoltaic installation that are to produce 200 kilowatts or greater, by providing comprehensive standards for the placement, design, construction, operation, monitoring, modifications, and removal of such installations, to promote and address public safety and minimize the impact on scenic, natural, and historic resources, and promote public health and welfare. The plans and accompanying documentation are available for inspection at the town clerk's office, Parting Ways Building, 130 Main Street, first floor, during regular hours. The way we're gonna do this is Doug will go over the bylaw real quick. The board can ask whatever questions they might want to ask, and then we will then go to the public for questions. Doug, if you please.
Yep, so I spoke on this at the last public hearing, we'll just run through some of the brief points of it. So provides comprehensive standards to promote and address public safety and minimize impacts on scenic, natural, and historic resources. The Planning Commission will be a special permit granting authority for any solar field 200 kilowatts and greater, along with a full review prior to submission to the Planning Board by Concom, the Town Planner, myself, Board of Health, Building Department, DPW, Fire and Police, and then also the Board of Assessors. As part of the bylaw, we're looking at installing a minimum frontage of 300 feet. I know there was some confusion about that. I got a phone call this past week about what that would look like. So as long as they have the necessary frontage for the district that they're in, so for example, residentially it's 150 feet on a roadway, it'd have to be at 300 foot setback from that roadway, just to kind of clarify that. And then the rear and side setbacks would be 150 feet from the nearest abutting property lines. Looking at something we're already consistently doing is security fences surrounding installations. These will also be set back from the property lines to minimize visual and other impacts on neighboring land uses. The clearing of natural vegetation, including trees, shall be limited to the minimum necessary of construction and operation of the installation. Installations will be constructed to protect and optimize the maintenance of wildlife and wildlife corridors and trail networks. All landscaped areas and plants required by the planning board will be permanently maintained to accomplish the purpose of which they were required. Any large-scale installation which has reached the end of its useful life will be removed. Proponents will provide forms of surety, either through cash or bond, to cover the cost of removal in the event the town must remove the installation and remediate the landscape. So I know at the last public hearing we had, there were some questions about where I had identified some of the figures that I was utilizing for the setback requirements and the acreage. So just touch on that briefly here. Took some notes. So I know we spoke a lot about Hopkinton's bylaw that they had proposed and most recently passed to the Attorney General's office. Within their bylaw, they're utilizing 3 acres minimum of land, which is consistent with what we're moving forward with at this time. Additionally, similar to what Rochester is doing, they're requiring 300 feet setback from an acceptable way. The only little caveat there is they have 100 feet setback for rear and side property lines. We're looking at doing 150 just to create more of a buffer and maintain the rural character of the community. And that should pretty much wrap up more or less. I do believe this is very comprehensive. It protects the town moving forward. If we do feel that there are amendments that need to be made, that's something that can be made on town meeting floor. But at this time, the warrant is closed, so I can take note of any changes that the board would like to see moving forward.
Okay, does anybody on the board have any questions? Dave, you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I don't. I'm for and in favor of the article. And when you're ready, I'd be happy to make a motion to endorse the article and push it towards town meeting.
Okay, Stephen, would you like anything to add?
I just wanted to go back, actually, you brought the question up last meeting there, Dave, about the 12-inch caliber trees that if we clip them, they're gonna replant in town.
Yep.
Doug, you had said you were gonna do a little bit of research on that.
Yeah, I couldn't find exactly where I had found the language from. I understand it's a little confusing. I do know that under the stormwater bylaw that we have, and we're potentially not at this town meeting, but future town meeting looking to propose, there is monetary value that needs to be placed for those trees. Additionally, I did do some research. So currently throughout Massachusetts, specifically South Coast, there is some diseases going around trees that are completely killing them off. So we will be able to, like, let's say they're clearing 1,000 trees from a site, we will be able to find locations to plant new trees just due to the fact that we're experiencing severe droughts and experiencing certain pests that are killing off specific species of trees.
All right, very good. I'm good with that. It's just with that. I just was curious about that, and it's that Dave brought it up last week, so.
Oh, and like I said, if it's something,
I'm good with it. I just was trying to.
Yeah. If it's something we feel we need to amend, that's something I would encourage the board members to do on town meeting floor at that time. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. Now I'd like to go to the public. If there's anybody else out there in Zoom that has anything to add or ask. I'll take that as that's about it. Dave, you made a motion?
Yes, I would make a motion to endorse the article and for it to go to town meeting in the upcoming fall town meeting.
Can I get a second on that?
I will second that motion.
And roll call vote. Dave?
Dave DeVignan's a yes.
Mark Francois is a yes.
Steve Boucher is a yes.
It's passed. Do I need to make a motion to go into to the Pembroke one now?
I believe we need to close this one and then open the second one.
Can I get a motion to close the large-scale photovoltaic bylaw and to open the Pembroke Bradford Street residential village rezoning?
So moved.
Mr. Chairman, point of order, I believe you have to do one at a time.
Yeah.
Close the public hearing for the solar bylaw first.
Then open up.
Gotcha. Thank you for the correction. Can I get a motion to close the large-scale photovoltaic bylaw?
I'll make a motion to close the large-scale voltaic bylaw.
Can I get a
I'll
second?
second them up.
Can I get a roll call? Dave?
Dave DeVignan's a yes.
Mark Francois is a yes.
Steve Boucher is a yes.
Okay. Can I get a motion to open the Pembroke Bradford Street Residential Village rezoning bylaw.
I will make a motion to open the Pembroke Bradford Street rezoning bylaw.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call.
Dave Duvign's a yes.
Mark Francois, yes.
Steve Boucher's a yes.
Okay, Doug, can you give us a little info?
This is an article we previously brought to Springtown meeting. It was listed as Article 25. This is essentially to see if the town will vote to amend the town of Acushnet's official zoning map by rezoning parcel of land identified in assessor's records as map 15, lots 482 and 534, from the residential A zoning district to the residential village zoning district, or take any action other thereto. At that town meeting, it was tabled. I've made some adjustments to it. I do believe there was a little bit of misunderstanding with some of the language that was included in the rezoning. And the potential, and this is more of a planning piece from my end, potential for 10 to 13 conforming lots without going through the necessary engineering processes and the necessary planning process. That's not definitive that would happen. Realistically, we're looking at 4 buildable lots. Currently, there's 1 buildable lot out there on an accepted way. So we're just looking to overall rezone a total of 3.19 acres from the residential A district, which is a 60,000 square foot lot requirement, to the residential village. Essentially to, like I said, rezone for 4 houses. Just kind of create conformity with the residential village district where this pre-existing water and sewer connects. I do believe that the water and sewer pressure is sufficient enough to handle the addition of 4 houses. And I know we touched upon the adequate Pembroke Ave being one of the main arteries to get to the location of where these 2 lots are. There are some questions about the adequacy of Pembroke Ave. I've had the opportunity of driving over there numerous times. I drove over there before the meeting today. I don't necessarily see an issue with the addition of 4 houses. I approached the town and talked to the town administrator, potentially looking into putting some stop signs to slow down traffic that is traveling up and down Pembroke Ave. So we'll be having a safety committee meeting with the police chief, fire chief, and addressing some of those issues and seeing if there is a need to place some stop signs there to slow down traffic. Seeing is that up on James Street, the speed limit is 25 miles an hour. I do think it would be beneficial for there to be speed limit signs placed on Pembroke Ave just to reinforce that and make it a little more clear.
Sounds good. Planning board, any questions? Stephen?
What we're looking to approve, I mean, obviously we have to, it's about spot zoning. We had to grab off the north side of Bradford Street. Now, did you just say that was an unaccepted way over there?
Yep, so on the other side, so currently there's one portion of Bradford Street that is acceptable to be considered frontage to go through the A&R process through the planning board. The other half of Pembroke on the other side, on the other half of Bradford Street on the other side of Pembroke Ave, that currently isn't developed whatsoever. It's under private ownership. In order to develop that, the applicant would have to go through the complete subdivision process. So it's preliminary subdivision and definitive subdivision rounds. Through that, we could require different engineering studies that need to be done, water pressure, the adequacy of the sewer at that point in time. There could be a traffic count that's conducted to make sure that Pembroke Ave is an adequate way to be sufficient enough for the addition of X number of house lots that would be going on the other side if it was to get developed at any point in time.
So that the north side, that the undeveloped side of Bradford Street, that is, there's already a residence on that piece of property,
Yes,
right?
yes, there's a...
Well, by us rezoning it, if the town chooses to rezone it, will it impact their property taxes in any way?
To my knowledge, I don't believe so.
I think it's due diligence that, at least before town meeting, that we have some sort of answer for that. I would hate to put a burden on somebody because we went and rezoned it, and,
Put a burden on the taxes in which way exactly are you looking?
for some reason, if it increased their taxes by rezoning it into potential developable land, you know, and, I don't know if it will or not. I'm asking
I
a
think
question.
that would actually create buildable lots, and at that point that they're considered buildable lots, and that's positive tax revenue for the town.
Yeah, but the person that owns it right now, it's only one piece of property. I'm worried about the individual that owns that property right now, who has one residence, so if we're gonna increase it by
So you're
rezoning it,
So you're asking if the tax rate for
current.
current ownership as opposed to village standards to
Yeah.
change it is different?
Is different, if it's gonna change it, if they're gonna get a bigger tax bill, because we wouldn't rezone that on them. With them, with that side of it, I'm not sure, I'm asking a question, I don't know enough about it.
Mr. Chairman, may I chime
Please.
in on that?
Please.
It's been my experience in the development world that right now, whether that property owner has 1.5 acres or 30,000 square feet, it really doesn't matter. He has a house on it, and the assessors typically tax that property for the acreage, and that's it. They cannot, look at it and say, well, that person could further build the road and get another 4 lots now because, they can get 4 lots out of it. My understanding is how tax bills or how they assess properties are, whether your house sits on, 2 acres or it sits on 30,000, a buildable lot is a buildable lot. There might be a minor increase in the difference between one property and the other based on some site, things such as whether there's a lot of wetlands or not, but there should be no impact whatsoever to the guy at the end of the road by changing this zoning, in my opinion, and my experience.
Okay, Stephen?
I guess it's best we get this, the best answer we can get right now at this
Well,
point,
I mean-
without talking, having Kelly or somebody to talk to.
You're right. We can have Doug or myself go into the assessor's office and get that 100%
Yeah.
clarified before town meeting on the 17th.
Oh, I agree, why
Yeah,
not? Just
yeah,
do the
we can
homework.
definitely get that. We don't want
Yeah.
anybody
Know
else to
the
be
answers.
impacted negatively.
No.
Right. Dave, do you have anything else to add?
Well, I went myself and visited the road because of the concerns of one of the budding property owners, that the road was unsafe. I was concerned that it was really just a 1-lane road, and that's not what I saw when I drove up there. It's paved, and it's certainly a 2-lane roadway right now, so I don't see any physical issues with an additional 4 house lots, or even if it was 7, because I think the road is certainly wide enough for 2-way traffic, for fire and safe, fire trucks and whatnot, so I think the issue may be that a lot of people park their cars on the edge of the roadway, and it makes it narrow, for when and if people do that. And I think that there's probably a serious issue with cars speeding down that road because it's straight as narrow. It's got a nice hill there too, and I think Doug's on the right path to try and implement stop signs. I even told Doug to look into a speed table, is what they call it, but it's basically a speed hump. If you go to Fairhaven on Oliver Street, it's off Alden Road. There's a speed, they call it, the technical term, fancy term, speed table, and you have really no choice but to slow down like it's a stop sign, or else you're going to go airborne with the car, and if the stop signs don't seem to do the trick, then I think that's the next step that should be evaluated. Maybe the road could use a sidewalk, I don't know, but I think the road is certainly wide enough to meet the demands of 4 total house lots, 3 additional, because the property owner already has 1. And to build, to even further state about Bradford, the left side of the road, and, that will require Form C subdivision approval, and all kinds of things can be looked at. If you're connecting 2 streets, you could be creating a different dynamic to both streets that it will connect. So Doug's right, we'd probably have traffic studies. We could actually make that developer put improvements on Pembroke if needed, you know, such as a sidewalk, whatever's needed. I mean, because that's purely undeveloped land. And it'd be one thing if they just brought the road in halfway, got one lot out of it. But if they proposed making a connection, that could change the dynamics of both Pembroke and I think it's Cushman, the next street they would connect to. So, you know, I think the abutters are protected from that. You know, and I just want to go on record is, you know, I truly believe the information I've been given that, you know, the owner of the property, he owns the land, he's going to develop it one way or the other. And if town meeting denies this proposed change, which is a very good change in zoning, I think the town's going to seriously regret it. I think the neighborhood, in hindsight, will regret it, but there's nothing they can do about it should 40B be developed. I think they really ought to think hard about going to town meeting and trying to knock it down over 3 additional houses. I think it would be, you know, just not a wise thing to do because the town is well under the 10%, you know, for affordable housing, and that's a prime property with sewer and water available to have an apartment building complex. And we would have no say in it as a planning board. The town would have very little say overall, and it would just be rammed down our throats, particularly with, you know, the connection of the train to Boston. We're going to be mandated to create this type of housing. We're trying, you know, that's something we want to control and put it where it won't impact this neighborhood. And if the neighbors on the street think that 3 houses are really going to overly impact this neighborhood, they're in for a rude awakening if a 40B should be proposed, and I really think that that's what will happen. So I hope people really think strongly about their opposition at town meeting to this article, which I think in the end is a very good article. So with that, I'll stop talking. Thank you.
Dave, I mean, I think that was well said, and you actually touched on a few points that I was going to bring up. The last meeting we had an abutter here that was preoccupied about, you know, once we change the zoning, what's stopping him from just doing the 10 lots or the 13 lots. I want people to understand that there isn't enough frontage for him to just go in and put in 13 lots. Even if this bylaw does change and it gets rezoned, for this person or anybody else, for any other developer to put houses in there, they're gonna have to do a big Form C subdivision. They're gonna have to come in front of us. They're gonna have to put in new roads. Abutters are gonna be notified. There's a big process for them to put more than just the 3 to 4 houses that they're requesting. I need people to understand that it's not just changing the zoning and then boom, he's got the right to do whatever he wants. It doesn't work that way. He still has to come in front of the board. He has to go in front of the abutters, and it has to be approved. Dave, you also touched on another good point. It's very, very scarce land, buildable land that has sewer and water is very, very scarce. If you don't want the 3 houses, somewhere down the line, this will get developed, and it'll get to the point where we have no say. It'll go straight up to the state, and then the town has very little say. The board have no say, and there'll be a lot more than just 3 houses on that property. I need people. They might not want the 3, but the 3 is going to be a lot better than what is possible. So again, I just wanted to make that clear. I am in favor of the rezoning of these 3 lots, rezoning of this bylaw, and I think people in the town should really consider what could happen if they don't approve.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with everything you said, and I think you made a great point that should the owner of the property get greedy and want to put, you know, a side road down the middle of the property, say, and try and get 10 lots. I'm going to go on record right now and say, as one planning board member, I would be looking for upgrades on Pembroke Ave, you know, as the road, wherever the road needs it, from the last intersection road, working its way up as improvements, to handle the extra houses if that developer were to get greedy about things. And we would have the right, as a planning board, to make that road up to spec, 26 feet wide, and do such things as that, you know, for the thorough way that it would take to get to that road. Obviously, we wouldn't change the road, it's already paved now, but we would have total control and look, we can look at what would need to be upgraded for them to maximize if they wanted to, you know, and what I'm talking about is 26-foot wide pavement, sidewalks, all the way up Pembroke from, I think it's James Street, to get up there, and that's what I would be looking for if they were to try and move in that direction. So, for the record, thank you.
For the record, I agree with you. Is there anybody out there in Zoom land that would like to speak on this? Okay, I'll take that as no. Can I get a motion to close?
Is it gonna be endorsed? Or
Oh, yes, can I get a,
I
sorry.
can get
thank you.
I can get the answers on the tax rate from the assessors, but.
Yeah, that's the only question I think that we have open
And I
right
can,
now.
I'll be able to get the.
Everybody's,
answers on
just so that the public's clear, it's two separate pieces of property.
It is, yes,
And it's two different landowners.
correct, yes. Very-
I think
very well said.
that was probably one of the big confusions on town meeting floor, originally, even though we got to give them a better chance to vet all of this. I was one of those ones that requested to table it because it just sounded like this big potential for this big massive development, and nobody was ready for.
Agreed.
But they're two separate landowners. They would have to, obviously, it's a bigger undertaking.
Right, and it's not just something that is done without coming back in front of
And I
us.
find it hard to deny it because the water and sewer are there.
Right.
I mean, that was part of whatever, however those other three houses transpired, the road got built, the water and sewer got run down there, and that is ultimately what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any of us, where I grew up, a lot of things have changed too in town, you know,
Yeah.
after you move out. I would have to speak in favor of it just because of the present condition, and understanding what's on the north side of Bradford Street there is it developable? Yes, it is, but it's gonna take a big stretch for somebody to turn around and do it. Is it worth it for a couple of house lots at this point? Who knows? We'll see where it goes.
But again, it has to come in front of us.
Yeah, that's the ultimately, that's it, and having to, like you say, go through the full subdivision process is pretty painstaking.
We need a motion to accept,
Endorse.
endorse the rezoning.
I'll make a motion.
So moved.
Oh, so moved, okay, there you go. Second?
Second, all in favor? Dave?
Dave DeVigne's a yes.
Mark Francois, yes.
Steve Boucher, yes.
So who exactly made the motion, just so I'm clear, for doing the meeting minutes?
I made the motion, he seconded, he approved. Made a motion to accept.
Okay, I just don't think, as chairman, you can make the motion, so.
Can you make the motion?
Yeah. I'll make a motion to endorse the rezoning of Bradford Street.
Bradford and Pembroke.
Bradford and Pembroke.
Can I get a
Oh, I
second?
thought you did, I thought I did, but I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Okay, can I get a roll call?
Dave DeVigne's a yes.
Mark Francois, yes.
Steve Boucher, yes.
Okay. Do we have to make a
Motion to close the hearing for Pembroke and Bradford Street Residential Village rezoning.
Thank you. Is there a second?
There's a second.
All in favor? Dave?
Dave DeVigne's a yes.
Mark Francois, yes. Steve?
Steve Boucher is a yes.
Okay, and the next meeting tentatively is Thursday, October 6th.
Pending we have items for the agenda.
Yes, tentatively. If we,
I believe we have one item, so it could be a quick one, but we'll see. I'll let you guys know.
okay.
Question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
Doug, this is to Doug, is there, we met 2 Thursdays in a row, I think it's 3 out of 4 here.
Yep, we can postpone. Like, we have a meeting scheduled on the 20th, so we can wait until the 20th.
Okay, excellent. So our next meeting is October 20th.
We can move forward with that. Yes.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Did, I don't know, Mr. Dakin, did you have anything to?
No, I have nothing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I figured he was here for one of the.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Can anybody make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Dave
Dave?
DeVigna, yes.
Steve Boucher, yes.
Mark, yes.